Hi, everybody. Happy November. November must be here because Ashley's sitting in the dark in our first windstorm and her power's out at her place. But we have a great video for you today. We have Balraj from Len Lab. He is here to answer some of our questions. Obviously, our roles are very linked, but Balraj is kind of his industry is a bit of a precursor to real estate, right? People go in, they get approvals, and then we see the activity later on. So we want to pick his brain a little bit. Balraj, welcome. We're so happy that you could be here with us.
Thanks, Graham. Happy to be here.
We have the question of what are you seeing out there? Have calls picked up? Like obviously we've seen the overnight lending rates coming down steadily. We've seen some of the fixed rates. Historically, they've been coming down from their highs, and we want to know what's going on in your world.
Well, it's been interesting. The year in itself has been a mixed bag, but what we're seeing now, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the overnight lending rate has been coming down quite aggressively over the last few months, is curiosity is jumping back into the market among first-time home buyers, but also a segment where people are looking to trade up. Maybe they've owned a house for 5, 6 years, they've built that equity, and now they're like, what else can I do? So the first-time home buyer segment, I think they've been maybe sort of like excited by some of the news that the federal government's put out around certain policies. And so we're hearing a lot of people reach out and just say like, hey, what does this mean for me? And what can I get pre-approved for under some of these new guidelines? And how does that help me coming into next year? A lot of them are younger, maybe they're just starting out on a job or very new to an industry, and they just want to get their ducks in a row. And they have a plan to buy, I'd say, within the next 6 to 12 months. So the first-time home buyer market is excited, and there's a bit of optimism there. I hope as rates keep coming down, their affordability improves, and we'll see some happy first-time home buyers next year. When it comes to the
Yeah.
other segment that's kind of poking around right now, that's your, hey, I own a home, I've got some equity, I want to buy something else. How do I do that? And, a lot of times, especially when rates are high, the big question comes up is, do I have to sell my home before I can buy the next one? And because of where rates are, depending on your income, the type of mortgage you're going to need on the next home, can you port it? Can you not port it? What does all that mean? And there's a lot to balance when it comes to buying, selling, and timing everything to be perfect. And that's where, I think you guys have a lot of insight as well on how to make that work and make it stress-free for the client. So those are the two segments we're seeing a lot of right now.
Yeah, thank you for that, Balraj. Just to give us a frame of reference, because we spoke about, rates coming down, that's the overnight lending rate. Out of 10 mortgages that you do, how many would be a term, like a 5-year term, 3-year term, versus variable?
The long 5-year fix is out of fashion at the moment. The only people who are choosing to go with the long 5-year fix are those that are depending on hitting their max debt service ratios, right? Because the 5-year fix is going to have the lowest rate, therefore the lowest qualifying rate, therefore you get the highest mortgage. If you have flexibility in your budget, a lot of clients nowadays are choosing a 3-year fix, which is, the rates are kind of close to the 5, but your hope there is rates are going to come down. And if you do want to trade out of it midterm, it's not going to cost you as much as trading out of a 5-year term. Popularity among the 5-year variable has skyrocketed, I'd say, because the news just keeps coming out. We're going to drop another 1.5%, 2% by the end of next year. So you ride that wave down on the variable. If a fixed rate looks nice at some point, you can always lock in at no cost. But I'm a big fan of the variable right now. And so, yeah, we're seeing a lot of 3-year fixed and 5-year variables instead of the 5-year fix.
Okay, very interesting. People are starting to bet on the future, I guess we'd say, when it comes to picking the variable. Well, very cool. And I'm just curious, Ashley, Julian, Jory, do you have any questions for Balraj while we have him on here? We had a conversation ahead of time talking about the trade up buyer. Balraj mentioned that that's a big part of the consumer that he's seeing right now. And our conversation had to do with timing. Of course, we're coming into winter. Julian, why don't you touch on what that might look like over the next few months if somebody's a trade up buyer?
Yeah, no, it's a perfect segment to that because I know Balraj and I have talked about it quite a bit. With the rates the way they are today, what Balraj was saying is most people probably do have to sell before they buy their next one. Rates aren't at an all-time low, so you can hold both and you can get the debt servicing for both. So this fall and winter, we've been having a lot of conversations with clients that if that's what your plan is and that's what you want to do, now might be the time to try to get those pieces to align and make it work, because most people are expecting our market in spring to be significantly busier from a volume perspective. And the moment you have more buyers in the market, these subject to sales become near impossible. So, as the market's slower, if you find what you want out there with the limited supply we have, then it's a great time to try it because sellers are more open to it when the market's slower.
Yeah, great point, Julian. Thanks so much for that. And thanks to those of you at home watching and tuning in this month. If you need to reach out to Balraj with any questions, we will include his contact information at the bottom of the email. Thank you so much, Balraj, for joining us. Until next month. Talk to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye now.